Let's see. All right. All right. Hello, Miss Leo. There's Linda. All right, very good. All right. I think that is about everybody. I don't recall hearing back or getting a confirmation. Well, we're meeting on Demetria. I didn't ever hear back from Mark Epstein.
Demetria is here.
Is she? Oh, good.
Here I am under,
under Betsy.
I have a alias.
You do indeed. Indeed. So does Hannah. All right. Well, I think we can get started, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna ask you all to do me a favor, rather than just muting you on my end. You could mute yourself to help us kind of keep the background noise to a minimum. That would be awesome. And with that, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Barry Johnson, who is my colleague on the Saugatuck City Council. Barry.
Thank you, Garnett, and thank you for arranging this meeting here. I just got a new computer yesterday, so I wasn't able to print out the agenda, so I'm going to wing it here because all of you are in front of the agenda, you know, on the back screen. So maybe I'll on you guys so I can read the agenda. Okay. So bear with me. This is all new. This is my third Zoom meeting today. And then I have a very important one at 8 o'clock. It's Mug Club at the Mitten, you know. So
nice.
we do our Mug Clubs on Zoom now too, so I'll get better. But obviously Garnett is much more technically talented than I am. But so to keep things moving, I will call the meeting to order today at let's call it 3 o'clock. And I guess, are you taking notes, Monica?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh, good job.
Well, thank you very much for that. And then let's see, taking attendance as well. We didn't have that in the, oh, that's the roll call. So you got everybody who's attending? Monica?
Well, it'll be a roll call. So Alexander?
Rana? Yeah.
Did everybody?
She's muted herself.
DeFranco? DeFranco?
Stay here.
Okay, I don't have everybody on my screen, so if everyone could unmute themselves while I do roll call, that would be helpful to me. And prior to anyone speaking, since I don't have everyone on my screen, nor do I know everybody, if you could just say who you are prior to speaking, that would really help me with my minutes. Epstein? Epstein?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry guys, working through the technical.
That's okay.
Was that a yes for Epstein?
I've not seen an Epstein.
Okay.
It was
Escott.
for Alexander.
Escott's here.
Escott, okay. Johnson?
Here.
Lewis?
Here.
North?
Here.
Stewart?
Here.
Terrian?
Here.
All but Epstein.
All right, very
Okay.
good.
Roll call has been taken. And we then go into public comment. Please limit it to agenda items only, 3 minutes. And I see the only person that is an audience is Holly. So any comments, Holly? Anything you can do for us? Good. Thanks for attending though, by the way. And I believe as we get going on this, we'll start getting more people attending. And I think we saw that at our city council meeting, that we had a pretty good attendance for people that weren't council members. And I think people can do this from their home. I think we'll see attendance go up, especially when the newspaper starts telling them about all the good things we're doing here. So we'll go on to pass through public comment. There was none.
May I interrupt? I
Sure.
don't know if anyone can hear me or see me.
Hi, Jim.
Yes, all right. My name is Jim Yost. I guess I would be part of the public.
Okay,
I was invited by Kelly Roche, and I work for a company in Grand Rapids called Wormies. We are a composting and worm farm. So I live here in Holland. Our kids go to Douglas Elementary School. But so we're in Lake Town Township, kind of on the border here. But I wanted to attend and see if there's any way that I can help with anything. Sustainability is my passion. But then also I do work in composting, commercial side.
Very cool. Excellent.
thank you for your comments.
I guess I'll just chime in for just a moment. My name's Ken Freestone. I live in Holland, and I actually work for the City of Holland as the residential energy advisor, but I also have a nonprofit called Green Michigan. And I also sit on the materials management task force for the City of Holland, the one that has done the research over the last 2 years. And then last night, a recommendation to City Council to approve a new recycling and solid waste program at the City of Holland. And in the approval last night, they also approved 2 grant applications to Eagle, to the state of Michigan. And in those, your group is mentioned as a group that we are talking to you and sharing all of our data that we collected with you, so that maybe you can start from a place instead of having to start from zero with collecting data. We're more than happy to share our data with all of you. And that way, we're hoping that we're also setting you up for next year's round of grants from the state of Michigan if you choose to do something more with your recycling, composting, solid waste program and collection. So we're hoping that we can bring information to you. And Aaron Thalenwood from the City of Holland, who heads up the solid waste program, has offered to come and speak to the group to say, again, here's our data. What can we help you with? We're moving forward, and we hope that others in the region do too. And I think it'll benefit everybody.
Okay, good.
Very good.
All right. You know, whoever's good at this, I see 16 participants.
Yep.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on my screen. Does that mean they're just not showing up on my screen or what?
Probably not. I think if you scroll on down, by the way, Mark Epstein is on. Join
Hello.
us. Hi there.
Hi
So we
there.
have- everybody's here. Thanks for joining us.
I had a little trouble just downloading the app here for a second.
Yeah, all good. All good.
Oh,
Yep.
I see. Okay, I see more now. Okay.
Yeah, if you just scroll them up and down, you can see everybody there. So 16's excellent.
Okay.
Barry, are you not seeing the agenda on the shared screen?
Well, here's my trouble. When I expand my people to see the agenda, then I lose
Yeah.
my people. If
Then
I-
you lose your people. It's
But in a
okay.
minute, I don't think I'm worried about that. So, okay, is any more public comment? Anybody with what are our 16 that want to chip in at this point? Okay, hearing none, then I will move on to the next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes. There are no minutes. So moving on, the approval of the agenda. Does anybody see anything
I
that
think-
we can add to the agenda?
I think to make it kosher, we ought to say I move to accept the minutes.
And who made that motion?
Mark
Mark did.
Okay,
The last name?
Epstein.
Epstein.
Thank you.
do I have a second?
Second. This is Linda Escott, second it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second. Is there any discussion? Not much to discuss. We don't have any minutes. We will have that the next time, I'm sure. So this will be a roll call vote.
Epstein,
Aye.
Escott,
Yes.
DeFranco? DeFranco?
Muted.
DeFranco?
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you. Alexander?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
North,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Terrian? Terrian?
She's
Mitra,
muted.
you're
Yep.
muted.
Terrian?
We have a protocol that Monica looked into about when people drop out because of the thing. And I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
There she is.
Oh, thank you. Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you.
And let me explain what I was going at. If people drop out because they have a bad internet connection or for some reason, it'll be noted in the minutes as, I believe it was absent with a note that due to technical difficulty. Is that the way you're going to go with that, Monica?
Due to internet connectivity issues.
Just so you
Roll-
know, from my end, this is Rana Alexander. Just so you know, when I hit unmute, Garnett, unless you turn it off on your end, I can't unmute it. Because
Yeah.
I have the same issue on my end for DeFranco.
when you're not hearing because we're trying to unmute, but it said meeting host has all people muted. So
Right.
until you turn us off, we can't unmute.
Yeah, I've got you all unmuted, so.
It is unmuted right now, but then like as soon as we roll call, then I turn mine back on to mute. So there was no disturbance, but then once I turn it off, it's like you have to reset it or something on your end.
All right. Okay. Still learning. All good.
Yeah.
Me too, definitely.
Yeah. Complete control, Garnett.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
So just again, to clarify, Monica, they'll be tallied as absent?
Correct. If they were
And-
to lose internet
No.
connection.
Yeah, absent with a note. So just.
Unless you decide you would like to hold up the meeting until they restore connection so that they can participate in the vote. There's two different options you have to choose from.
Okay, and that'll be the chairperson's discretion at that time. So, okay, thank you very much. So the minutes have been approved.
The agenda.
The
I mean, the agenda have been approved. We have no unfinished business. We have new business, which is the election of the committee chairperson and vice chairperson. And generally, we, as I am presiding at this point, I will open the nominations momentarily. And then when the chairperson is elected, that chairperson will then take the seat and preside over the meeting and open it up for the vice chairperson nomination and election. So since I have the floor, I would like to nominate Garnett Lewis as the committee chairperson. Could I have a second?
Second.
Somebody to identify who seconded for
Cathy North.
Cathy North. We have a motion on the floor by Johnson, a second by North to nominate Garnett Lewis as the chairperson. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I will bring that to a vote. Roll call vote, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
North,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Terrian,
Yes.
Escott,
Yes.
Epstein,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Franco,
Vote.
Yes.
and Alexander.
Yes.
The motion to, and the nomination to approve Garnett Lewis as the chairperson is unanimously approved. Congratulations, I think, Garnett. We'll see. You know?
Of course. Of course. Very
All
good.
right. So I turn it over to you, my dear, and take it
All right.
away.
All right. Very good. At this time, what I'll do is accept nominations for vice chairperson. Any nomination?
I would
Well,
like,
I'm not making a nomination necessarily, but I'd like to suggest that the co-chair should be from another town.
agreed.
All good. All good. Yep. So any
I'd like-
nomination?
Yeah, I would like to not make a nomination. I'd like to nominate Demetria.
Demetria Terrain from Douglas. Is there a second?
I'll
Carrie, I
second
guess.
Barry Johnson.
All
Who
right.
made the first nomination?
Cathy
Kath-
North.
The last name, please?
North?
North.
North, thank you.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations? Gotta say it 3 times.
Oh.
All right. Any other nominations?
Magic.
All right.
Gone.
All right. Very good. With that, we'll need a roll call, please. Monica?
North,
Yes?
Johnson,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Stewart,
Uh-oh.
Stewart,
He's muted.
I'm unmuting all. I don't know why it does that.
Can he raise his hand?
Yes.
There you go. He's back.
There we go.
okay. Escott,
Yes.
Tarian,
Yes.
Epstein,
Yes.
DeFranco,
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
All right. Very good. So quickly, for Monica, I have a question. Are you going to be joining us for every meeting and recording the minutes, or should we nominate a secretary?
That I don't know.
Would
I
you
was
like?
just asked by, I was asked by Kirk yesterday to join today's meeting, so I guess that's up to you.
Madam Chair, if I may, this is Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, if, since this is a tri-community committee, it's, if the city clerk for Saugatuck is available, if she doesn't have any other duties at the time the meeting to happen, I don't think that it's a problem for the city to fill this role. And obviously using the Zoom technology is beneficial at this time. So again, if she has other, training session or elections or something else, I think that's someone else, but it might be good to keep it consistent so we have the same recording
Yeah.
person. Oh, also, just so you know, on your screen, on your toolbar on the bottom, there might be a little area that says more. If you click on that, you could check allow participants to mute and unmute themselves, and then people can just.
Let me find that. Ooh. Yeah.
What am I looking for?
Or if you want to just make me, if you go up to my name, make me a co-host, I'll go in and just uncheck it on my end, and then you won't have to worry about it.
I will do that.
Not that I want to be a co-host, but just I'll take care of the
Too late.
nitty-gritty details for you.
I see on the bottom of my screen a toolbar on the far left-hand corner. There's a microphone and it says mute, and obviously right now it's not muted, I think.
Yeah. Well, I just made Kirk the host, so there you go.
Okay.
Very
I'll see if
good.
I
All
can
right.
do that.
Well, Monica, if you're willing to do that, I think that would be a huge help for us because you do such a great job. That would be awesome.
Thank
Not
you.
to put you on the spot or anything.
Thank you, Monica. We
Thank you,
love
Monica.
That was Linda, just so you know.
Yeah, so hey, before we go any further and go to next steps, what I'd like to do is kind of back up a little bit and have everybody take a minute to introduce themselves and why you're a member of this committee. I mean, obviously you expressed interest in being on the committee, so I would certainly like to have you introduce yourself in a little broader context, certainly where you're from, and then your interest in being on this committee. How's that? Ready, set, Linda.
Oh, me? Okay. My name is Linda Escott. I'm a retired educator from Pontiac, Michigan. I moved here from Rochester Hills 6-7 years ago. And hate to break the news to you, but this is kind of a learning curve for me. So be gentle. Rana, I want to pick your brain, just so you know.
It is yours to pick.
Thanks.
And Linda is a member of the Saugatuck Convention, City of Saugatuck.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I live here.
Yep. All right. Let's go next. Cathy North. I'm just going down randomly picking people. Cathy.
Also a retired educator from Linden, Michigan. I've lived here for 7-8 years, I guess now. And I'm on the Douglas City Council. And I was nominated to do this by our previous mayor, Linda Anderson. So I agreed to join this committee.
Very good. All right, Demetria.
Demetria Terry, and I recently moved here about 2 years ago now from California and live in Douglas. And I think it's just so important to have systems that support our households, support our cities, that are just sort of a natural activity to do. So I'm really interested in recycling, trash, composting, returning things to the earth. So that's why I'm here.
Great. Rana?
Yep, it was a little bit over a year ago that I first approached our previous mayor, Linda Anderson, with the situation that we've got going with the yellow bags, and that there was a discrepancy between what I felt was happening and what was on the Republic website. And it took well over a year actually to get that all implemented, and now we are using the blue bins. But I'm not super, I just want to see more done. I feel like with the size of our communities, I feel like everybody is interested. I think people are willing, and I just think I was so happy to hear that there was this committee being formed, because I really feel like there's an open audience for it, and I feel like all that really people need is a little bit of leadership. I homeschool 2 of our children, and it's an absolute part of our everyday. So I really feel like I don't want to wait until there's legislature to make people do things the way that they should be done, and I don't think people really want to wait. I just think that they need a road to get them there. And I think if we're all consistent in our message, and I loved hearing about the city of Holland, and Ken, when you were saying that you were willing to help us move forward, I just think it's fantastic. Thumbs up. And I love that there's other people joining us from other avenues of the composting in other areas, just to try and move things forward as quickly as possible, but to do it in a really good way. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all. It makes me very happy to see so many like-minded people. So thank you.
Great. Very good. Barry.
Barry Johnson, City of Saugatuck. I'm sitting in the house that my wife and I bought 40 years ago. We've been here a long time. I was a planning commissioner in the 80s, fought McDonald's, kept them out of town.
Mm-hmm.
I was the originator of the proposal of the City of Saugatuck to go to single waste hauler, and spent 2 years studying that, getting bids, and getting up to speed on that. I give all credit to Bill Hess. He's the one that brought it home, as Garnett's going to do for us. And then I thought about the recycling thing, and I proposed to the Saugatuck City Council that we should look into this, especially during the transition from Chef to Republic. We need to look at where we're going with this. And it's so important as I learn more about China's not taking our trash anymore. The whole world is changing. Let's get on board and figure out what we can do as a small community and make a difference. And potentially what we do could be a template for other small communities to make a difference in their community as well. So glad to bring it on. And then I think maybe it was Garnett said, why don't we bring in some of the other communities? And well, why not? We are the tri-communities, and we're all in this together. I believe Douglas also has a single hauler contract with now Republic, although in the township, they don't do single hauler. There's a little different philosophy out in the township about, not going to get into that, but they didn't want to do that. Some said over their own dead body. So, but as we found out that many of the township residents use Chef/Republic, and some of the condo associations have gotten together and consequently got a better deal. I mean, City of Saugatuck gets an incredible deal by having a single hauler. When I started seeing what other people are paying in the community recently, it's mind-boggling that we get such a better deal. But let's take this, let's control as much as we can about the recycling, and let's get after it. And again, I think this could be a template for other small communities.
Great, thank you. Daniel DeFranco.
Hi, Daniel DeFranco, Saugatuck Township. I've been here a little over 3 years, coming from Chicago. I'm a college lecturer at GVSU in philosophy and a bartender at Phil's. Yeah, so I don't know if you recognize me from there, from your watering holes. But yeah, I kind of started getting interested in local politics. I live across the street from the sand mine on Old Allegan Road in the township. That was a big deal. So I was kind of a big part of getting some of our neighbors together and compiling an argument for the township as to why they ought to deny that. It wasn't successful, but we did get some restrictions in place that have made it a little easier. And we have an end date, at least a light at the end of the tunnel. As far as recycling, I was actually working at Virtue Cider when Republic took over Chef, and it was very frustrating for us because we knew that, it was a big mess with the yellow bags, and we were trying to run a sustainable operation there. And so it was frustrating that we weren't able to uphold that end of the bargain, especially for, just our company ethos and for the customers coming in. And it's also frustrating as a resident of Saugatuck Township that I know that the way that we're recycling is terribly inefficient, and most of what we're putting in those yellow bags is not being recycled at all. I saw the progress that Douglas was making and Saugatuck was making in terms of getting those bins. And so I wanted to at least try my best to be able to help the township move in that direction. And then, hearing from everybody else about, maybe taking it to the next level, I'd be really happy to participate in something like that in conversation. So.
Great, thank you.
That's my story.
Thank you. Mark.
Hi, Mark Epstein. I live on Bayou Trail in the town of Saugatuck. And Daniel, you and I met several weeks ago over at Williams Showroom in Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Hi,
with your
how
wife.
are you?
Good. How are you? Good to
Good.
see you.
At any rate, here at on Bayou Trail, Republic services us, and we have two separate bins. We have one for general garbage. We have the blue bin for the recyclables. It was at first yellow bags, and then it changed over shortly after Republic took over Chef, which is good because you're separating it out and it doesn't contaminate their truck with garbage, or doesn't get contaminated by the garbage in the truck. It makes it a little bit inconvenient because maybe all of you do the same thing that we do, which is we have a receptacle inside the house for the recyclables. We collect that, and I actually use the yellow bags to do that in our bin. And then I take it outside and I dump it into the blue bin and start the process all over again. We don't sort it. But my background is that I worked for a global company that was in the shredding business. So I have visited recycle plants in the past, primarily paper recycling, but some of them also had garbage recycling for tin, metal, wiring, glass, and so forth. They're fascinating to see. They're not the most pleasant place to visit if there is garbage in the area, because it is a little bit toxic at times. But you walk away wondering that if nobody's visiting and inspecting them, and I'm not sure what kind of regulations and who inspects them, but you wonder how much of what they collect they actually do recycle. And there was a PBS program, I think it was on Frontline, a couple of months ago, talking about the world problem of recycling plastics in particular. And the problem being that there are a lot of containers on the market that have the recyclable logo, the chasing arrows, and the packaging does say recyclable, but the material itself is not necessarily recycled by the companies collecting it. So there's a lot of problems with recycling. It's not going to be an easy fix. Excuse me. It's not going to be an easy fix. And as I said, it does cause inconvenience for people. And when you talk about inconvenience for people, they tend to take the easy way out, and they probably would just as soon dump everything in one container and have somebody else worry about it somewhere else in the world. China used to buy a lot of paper product from a disposal paper product from the United States and other parts of the world. They no longer do. Some other Asian countries still do, but I think if we can stop it from going across the big pond, we're better off if we find a solution for it locally, if we can at all. So with that, I'll say good luck.
All right. Well, you're part of this, so good luck to yourself.
Thank you.
Patrick.
Oh, he's muted.
Uh-oh.
Whoops, there it went.
Back.
There you go.
I moved here from East Central Illinois about 8 years ago. I live on Old Allegan Road. My interest in this is I've been in the specialty chemical business my whole career, and started a sustainable commerce company about 25 years ago to make environmentally preferable antimicrobial cleaning products, and that we sell nationwide and commercially. And I've learned a lot about that being in the chemical industry. I'm close to it. We buy a lot of bottles, and so I've been involved in projects to put as much recycled plastic as we can in them, and that's a very interesting conundrum that the manufacturers have. Sustainable commerce is my thing, and that's my main interest here. I've had a long conversation with Jay, and the township had that debacle with trying to get single hauler, which I think we really should have. And a lot of what he had to say was quite straightforward about same kind of thing Mark's talking about. Something like 17% of the recycled waste that goes into recyclers ends up being recycled. I think that we can change a lot of our local input by being realistic about what things can and what things cannot be recycled, and be a kind of force for education, and also make recycling easier, thus more profitable, so thus they're going to be better at it. I think that there are a lot of stakeholders in this issue, and I feel we need to get them all involved, so that like the Makatawa initiative, we're not dealing with adversaries in the thing. So anyway, that's why I put my hat in the ring. That's why I'm here.
All right. Very good. Well, welcome everybody. I think I have met everyone at a previous time somehow, but my interest in serving with this was to jump on Barry's initiative to at least begin to educate our constituents in such a way that they're doing a better job of recycling. But for me, as a bigger issue is, I grew up overseas, in Germany, where recycling is like a religion. So being in the United States and seeing a very different approach, it's I would love to see us get there. As a municipality, as a state, as a country. That's a really big issue. I'm a retired university administrator. Moved to Saugatuck 5 years ago. Well, Memorial Day will be 6 years, and love it here. I love this community. So I'm looking really forward to working with everybody. I'm really thrilled with the level of expertise that you all have, and your commitment and passion to this subject. And I think we can really do some good things for our communities jointly, which I think is a great approach. So with that, I'm going to transition on our agenda to item number B under new business, review of committee purpose. And this was included in the packet that you got. And I really quickly, item number 4, after therefore be it resolved, this is kind of where we're at. The committee will be charged with identifying a list of objectives to research and prepare a report outlining any recommendation back to each unit of government. And then lastly, number 7, we have a good bit of time to do this. I mean, we will terminate at the end of the year. And given the beauty of Zoom technology, I think we'll be able to do quite a bit in this method until we can actually be in person, together. So that's kind of what our purpose is. What I do want to do now, kind of shifting to number 8, next steps. Before I open it for committee discussion, part of the reason I've asked Ken Freestone to be involved and participate is I've known Ken for about 2 years and have become very familiar with his work in Holland. And I also have Hannah Huggett on the line, who is a young individual who lives in the township, who's also kind of a leader, if you will, with recycling with the Holland schools and in the area. So what I really would like to recommend, given that we kind of are a captive audience, is to have at our next meeting, actually have Ken take us through where they're at, how they got there, and how we can use that as a model for this committee and this endeavor. Rather than recreating a wheel, I think we have a good example just right up the road that I think it would be helpful for us to all be educated about what they've done and hear what Ken has to say as far as advice and suggestions, and then really kind of let that, in a way, guide our discussion. So with that, I'll stop and I'll open it up for committee discussion and just have at it.
Garnett?
Yeah.
Point of order, should we approve that? I don't have an agenda, but that's a resolution, right? As far as what the committee's about?
Yeah.
No,
No?
Barry, that was a resolution that each of the governing units approved already. So
it's
there's
all approved.
no action needed.
Okay, so we have our marching orders. 3 jurisdictions said, get busy.
Correct.
Okay.
Indeed. Indeed. Thanks for that question. Thanks, Kirk. All right.
This
Go
is
for it.
Linda, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that Pastor Sarah Turlau over at the First Congregational Church in Saugatuck, we used to have a place where we could take batteries, which was at the township office, and that's no longer. So she was interested in maybe having First Congregational as a place people could drop batteries
Okay.
for recycling, but I don't know where they would go after that.
Okay.
But that's just something she asked me to throw out there.
Great. Very good. Okay.
And that is a very big problem because I've contacted a couple of different retail outlets locally, with the exception of, Batteries Plus will take them and they charge you. And there's also Comp Renew out on the north side of Holland, which will take them and they'll charge you less. They're a nonprofit, so they'll charge you less. But if you want to dispose of batteries and light bulbs, being another thing that's hard to do, that would certainly be something that, as a project, if we could, I'd like to see us undertake some way of setting up a community drop point for people to bring that material.
Okay.
I will bring up at our next time I see her, I will bring up about the light bulbs too.
Okay. Others? Please?
Garnett, may I jump
Yes,
in?
sir. Yeah, chime in.
Another thing that's come up, certainly in Saugatuck, I know it's going to happen in Douglas, is the shops, we are going to open, they're going to get all their new stuff in, and there's going to be a ton of cardboard boxes. And so some of our merchants in Saugatuck have asked, what can we do to help them with all the boxes? And I think back to when we used to have a recycling area out at the city Department of Public Works garage off of Maple, and you would drive in off of Maple, and they were the big things, and you do your own thing. That was recycling back then. But what ended up happening with that, as a dump, and people would take tires there. They would take car batteries there. It was impossible to manage. And so it just kind of backfired on us, but there's still a need for I'm saying the merchants, what can we do to help them with boxes in the next couple months? So I don't have an answer for that, but we have talented people involved here, and a lot of ideas can come up, and some rock solid ones for the people that are doing it. So I just wanted to bring that up, as well as the batteries, it's cardboard boxes. And that we can't do a site unless you have the site manned, and who's got the money to have somebody sit there all day and to say, no, you can put that there, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, Republic will take cardboard boxes so long as they're broken down. And having worked at a store on Butler Street for a number of years part-time, I can tell you that you can break down the boxes, you put them at the curb, and then the driver is responsible for taking that bundle of boxes and throwing it into the truck. However, the bundle has to be, I believe it has to be tied so they don't blow around, and they can't be too cumbersome so the driver can't lift them into the truck. So there's some challenges, of course, but you know, the merchants are stuck with, it's a training problem, I think, more than anything else. If they train their staff on what they're supposed to do with the garbage, it'll help eliminate some of the problem. But if we can come up with a solution for them that makes their life easier, all the better. And that same thing goes with any neighborhood residents. If you break down your boxes and they don't fit in your blue bin, if you have one, then you can put them next to your trash, your blue bin, except for now, they won't take them because of the virus. You can put out bulk stacks of cardboard.
So
Mark,
Mark,
is that Republic? We haven't had Republic long enough to know that, really.
Yeah, Republic. Well, Chef would do that also. Chef
did,
their policy was, if you have cardboard boxes, break them down, stack them next to your bin if it doesn't fit in your bin, and then you have to tie them with cord and leave them on the curb next to the bin. And at that time, there wasn't a separate bin for recyclable paper and other product. So now you can stack them separately next to your blue bin if you have one. If you don't have one, you can leave them on the curb, I believe.
Yep.
so if I may, this is Garn. There's been a bigger, broader discussion with the merchants, if you will, of one. There was a conversation that happened, I don't know, a month or two ago, with a couple of the business owners, Guy Derzano with Uncommon Grounds, and Anna was a part of that, but a real desire on the part of our merchants and our business owners to see if we can't find a way to provide a program that applies for all of them. Because right now, it's my understanding that they have to each individually contract with Republic for their services. So there's a request to if you're going to do this and really kind of take a broad look at this, please keep the merchants in mind as well. So that's a FYI for you all. How about other?
So garbage removal right now, are the merchants treated like residents where they pay a monthly fee?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Barry, do you know?
I think part of our agenda has got to be to get our Republic rep in. Structure it so we kind of hit them logically, but we should, before we start speculating what they will and will not do. Garnett, you may ask him to come to the next meeting.
Is Kirk still on the phone?
Yes, I'm here. I got booted off here a minute ago.
Oh, well, Kirk, you may know the answer then. Any of the businesses that are in Saugatuck, and maybe someone can also speak for Douglas, the trash removal, I believe that's done by Republic. And if so, are the businesses treated like a residence where they pay a monthly fee, or do their fees come out of it was called Saba, but now it's called something else. Do their fees to Saba take care of it?
No, the businesses are individual entities, so they have their own individual accounts. They're not regulated under the city's single hauler ordinance.
Okay.
Generally speaking, most of them do use Republic.
Okay.
And they also, the recycling's included in their bill that they get either monthly or annually. However, it's only, what I'm hearing from some of the businesses, they want, like Barry mentioned a few minutes ago, a lot of them will have an excess of cardboard at certain times when they get the product in. So that's really what their concern is. And I do have a contact from Republic. That's when all of you are ready, I'll give it to the chairperson, and she can contact that individual, and then that person can participate in your meetings as well.
Great.
Well,
Thanks,
if
Kurt.
I can just throw out something then. If Republic is able to pick up the cardboard, so long as the stores follow the rules, which would be to flatten them and to bundle them. If the stores don't want to take that effort to do that, I'm sure there's probably some enterprising person in town with a truck that would be happy to charge each business a certain amount of money to come around once a week and pick up their cardboard boxes.
Actually, there used to be someone that used to do that when the material had more of a value. They actually went around and collected it for people.
Right. Well,
I'd like to hear from some of our other members of the committee, please.
I have a general concern that I don't really feel like, I feel like we need to make it super clear of what can be recycled, because even the list that I overlooked for the city of Douglas, when we went to the blue bins, there's an inconsistency on Republic's side of what they will and will not take. So they basically they published like a flyer that said they would take egg cartons, but then on the other side it said we don't take egg cartons. And I think there's a general misunderstanding about flexible plastics. So people think when you get your romaine that you can recycle that plastic, but you cannot recycle it. Certainly through Republic. We actually, at our house, we have a box from TerraCycle, and we pay for the box and all the contents, and then it gets shipped back to them. They're in New Jersey, because so much of the produce that we purchase and lets us during the summer from the farmers markets is in plastic, and that includes like chip bags and power bars or whatever people use. Anything that's flexible will not be recycled by Republic, and there's an inconsistency in their communications on their end. And so there's confusion on the residents' ends on what they can put in that bin, whether it's the yellow bags. Gratefully, those are gone. At least it sounds like in two of the cities, but not the township. But I think there just needs to be I would much prefer us recycle less items and do a really good job at it, instead of it being like all of us feel really good that we're getting rid of the plastic in our homes. And I don't think there's a consistent list from, like, specifically, I know there's not from Republic. So the fact that the people who are picking it up do not offer, it's a very comprehensive list, it's just not accurate. Right. So I feel like that's a really good thing. And the other thing I would like to also just throw out there is I would really love it if we could figure out a way to also not only talk about how to recycle, but how also to reduce our use. So really right out of the chute, if we can reduce single-use plastics, if somehow there's a way to get, I had requested a while back that any new vendors or restaurants, or if there's food trucks or whatever it is, that they be required to only use compostable materials for single-use plastics and that kind of thing. And I know a lot of the cities a lot of the restaurants and things are doing that anyways on their own accord. So I think that that's awesome, but I think if we could somehow focus on reducing the use and then having recycle be more clear, I think that would be great.
All right, very good. So Cathy is very savvy at this Zoom, and she has raised her hand. So I will have Cathy go next.
How do we raise our hand?
I'm just being polite, that's all, waiting my turn. I was just going
Cathy,
to...
wait. Tell people how you did that, raised your hand.
Oh, down on the participant list, at the bottom, you can, there's 3 options. You can invite, mute me, or raise your hand.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Cathy.
I just wanted to ask Rona if perhaps it was because sometimes eggs come in styrofoam containers, and then sometimes they're in the more cardboard, harder, paper product.
Yes, I think it's both, but I think that if there's any inconsistency in the load that Republic picks up, then the entire load is considered contaminated. So that's where I really feel strongly that as a group, if we can come up with either a reduced list of things that we absolutely know will make it good, and then how do people handle that as far as cleaning, and do you have to take the label off? Do you not have to take the label off?
Right.
Then
Do
I
the
think
lids, do the lids go on? Can
right.
you recycle a pizza box that has some pizza, residue in
And
it?
I have my own business, and I basically create graphics to communicate concepts. And so I feel like if we can somehow get all this together and create just like a single sheet that's super clear, or maybe there's even like videos or something that people can look at, and they're, something that shows people, because I think the visual is just more effective than having a line item that says, egg cartons. But I do agree with you, and I think that as there's so many different kinds of egg cartons that it becomes confusing.
Very good. I see Betsy, or Demetria has raised her hand.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know what
One
to
and the
do
same.
about the name.
Yeah.
Well, adding to the conversation, I think it would also be important, as and this may be down the road, but composting for the tri-governmental areas. There's a lot of condos, and it would be great to just, if you don't have, a wide expanse of a beautiful house in the woods, composting where we could all have access to, beautiful soil down the road would be helpful. I think that we should just include that for some people in the area who might be very interested.
Great. I see Patrick has raised a hand.
A couple quick things. Adding on to the bag issue, it's even worse than they can't accept them. It plugs up the shredder.
Mm-hmm.
When it plugs up the shredder, they just kick everything that's coming in to the landfill. So the flexible plastic bags are a real problem. And I'm clueless as to why Republic doesn't clearly state that. The other thing is that market conditions affect whether or not all these things can be recycled literally on a month-to-month basis. And sometimes they can't recycle glass because they can't get anybody to buy it. They can't get anybody to take it, or paper, or whatever, or polyethylene. So this is a subject where it seems to me we should see if we can coordinate with Republic to set up a system of communication so they can tell a clearinghouse what the situation is at the moment, and then the clearinghouse could have some kind of communication to the community so that we're not just putting things, as they were saying, we're not just putting things in bags to make us feel good. And the net result of that is that anything we can do, and I want to clarify, Republic's profits are not my interest, quite the contrary, but to the extent that we can make this recycling process a viable business for these people, we've got a decent chance of them actually doing it in good faith. Today in the country, there have been numerous documentaries on the fact that, the plastics industry knows that they're not going to recycle most of the stuff. And this is really just a ruse. Well, it doesn't have to be. And I think that we can play a part in communicating with the citizens of our communities to be doing the things that are actually going to be recycled. Unfortunately, it's just not a simple subject.
Sure. All right, I see Linda raised her hand. Thank you.
Yeah, we have about a little over 8 months until we disband. And there's a lot of really good ideas coming up. And I think what we need to do is prioritize and put things first, second, and third, or have multiple things going at one time. But I do like the idea of coming up with like a list of things that they actually will recycle.
Yep.
And using that stuff to maybe help build a list of viable things to help them make money.
Yep.
I mean, but I think we need to prioritize what things to be done. And thank you for showing me where these neat little buttons are.
I know, aren't they fun?
I
So-
know this. You can
Yeah.
teach an old dog new tricks, just saying.
Yeah. So Ken, I see you raise your hand, but I'm going to have you hold off for public comment if you don't mind. Barry Johnson raised his hand.
Yes, I really agree with Linda. You know, we got to do it, but, you know, and we should be ready with that when the Republic guy comes and give him forewarning what we're going to ask him. But, you know, we're going to ask him today. He's going to give us a list, but we're going to have deeper questions about that list, and which we can't answer right now. That I'm feeling people kind of grasping, well, what do we do with this particular thing? That's the day we get the Republic guy in front of us. And if he doesn't have the answer that day, he can get back to us. But I think that's a great starting point. What do we have now? And how can we educate people to do it better? And then we go on to all the other great things we're going to do.
Yeah. So before I get to Mark, who's raised his hand, I will propose, there's two things I've written down I think is good kind of next steps right away. The first is to schedule another meeting and have Ken Freestone really take us through that whole project. I think you will, I've gotten to be educated about it quite a bit. It's very good. I think it would be a great thing for all of us to hear what they've done, and it might kind of help us with where we're going. And then second one I'm hearing is let's get the Republic Services rep in here and have a chat with us as well. So I'm going to suggest that might be our immediate next step. Mark, I see you raise your hand.
Yes,
sir.
thank you. I think what we also need to do is prepare ourselves for reality when and especially when the representative from Republic comes in to talk to us, because we can put together a wish list, certainly, of things that we'd like to see done. But what will happen, of course, is that Republic's going to decide what they're going to do, which ultimately makes the most money for them. And that's those things that could be done with the least amount of labor involved, the most automated process that they can do. Because they're not going to, the way Chef used to have it, they actually used to have a line of people sorting through the garbage as it came off the trucks, opening up the yellow bags and sorting out plastic from paper and cardboard and glass and cans and so forth. Well, Republic's not doing that. They want to do the most cost-effective method possible to get anything that's recyclable onto a truck, into a compactor, onto a truck, and off to a market that's going to pay them something for it. So I just want to make sure that we have our eyes wide open when these things come around.
All right, I see Cathy North raised her hand. Thank you. Kath?
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can.
Just as a kind of a heads up, we've had Carrie from Republic at maybe 3 of our city council meetings in the last year. So I would suggest that if we're going to invite him to come, that we give him a detailed list of things that we want him to bring with us to the table. Otherwise, we're going to waste a whole bunch of time, because he, as Rhonda knows, he likes to skirt around the issue. So I think we should present him a detailed list of things that we want him to be prepared to discuss with us.
All right, very good. I see Patrick's raised his hand. Yes, sir. Patrick.
I don't think he knows he's muted.
Excuse me. When I was talking to Jays and trying to get to the bottom of this several months ago, Jay gave me a contact with Republic. And when I contacted him, he literally went berserk. How did you get my number? What are you doing? I was shocked and surprised, and I said, hey, you know, I'm not the enemy here. I just got some questions. So, and I tried to get a hold of the representative who gave me his name for almost 2 months and got absolutely nowhere. So their antennae are up. You know, that they're sensitive to this, and they're not used to anybody cooperating with them for a single goal. And I think when we do get him, that I agree totally that we're going to have to be very careful to get this thing started in a way that gets their ears open, without giving up the fact that we really do need the information. This is a difficult situation with them. Back when Chef was doing it, they made money at it. It was a different world in terms of what they got paid for all this stuff. They don't make money now, and they don't like it. So I think the comment that we've got to be prepared to be realistic is absolutely true, and I think it can be handled. But we have to get them in a position where they don't view us as the enemy.
Yeah. So before I call, I have two other hands raised before I call on these folks. I want to encourage all of us as members of this committee to step back and put our diplomat hats on.
Yeah.
We're all going to come kind of predisposed based on our own experiences with Republic or Chef. And I'm really going to ask you, to kind of set that aside for a bit. And let's get educated and put together a good plan. I mean, certainly everybody's thoughts are very helpful, but I don't want us to come in predisposed into any kind of a meeting or presentation with anybody as best as possible. So that's my one request. So I'm going to call on Rana, and I see Barry's after that.
Mine was more of a question. Many years ago, I'd say probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I worked with the schools to try and implement recycling and composting. And I don't know actually where that's at right now. I know they said that they do recycle, but I don't know what they recycle. And I didn't know if anybody else knew how that was handled and if Chef picks up there as well, or they have a different hauler. Just something to consider when we're also talking about the merchants and how all this can get wrapped up together.
Right. Very good. Barry, sir?
Thank you. I think we've kind of gotten an hour into this, and I think we should keep an eye on that so we don't drag on too far. And my takeaways right now, for me personally, is that I think Ken Freestone should be the next person that helps us out. That'll increase our knowledge level and us being able to maybe focus better with the questions that we give to the public rep. And I couldn't agree with Garnett more that we got to leave our impressions at the door. Give this poor guy a chance, give him an opportunity to know what he's walking into with a list of questions. But so those are my three takeaways. Let's try to keep it to an hour. Let's bring Ken in next, and then the Republic rep.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you for that. So if I could, unless someone has a burning something to share, I'm going to move on to public comment and allow Ken's had his hand raised. So I'm going to let him chime in under public comment and then see if we can wrap up our meeting here pretty quick. Ken,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you very much, everyone, for the comments and for the ideas and the questions. And I will keep this very short because if I'll be speaking at the next one, I'll bring a lot of this up. But just a couple of things that did come up that I couldn't agree more with. It's really gotten back to basics for recycling. So we have to think about what are the basic things that can be recycled very easily and effectively, and really concentrate on those. And then look for those other resources for recycling a lot of those other materials. And one of the things that the city is doing, and Green Michigan, my nonprofit, we're doing with the city, is we're creating a database for where things can be recycled, how they can be recycled, and also that's going to be on all of the cans that are delivered, the new carts that are delivered to all the homes in Holland are going to have a URL or a QR code on it, where the residents can look at that URL, look it up and say, what is recyclable now? Because it is changing so much. We can't do stickers anymore. We can't do paper inserts because it changes so fast that that database will be able to be changed, and then people can go to that site to find that information. So honestly, anybody will be able to use that then. So that'll be very helpful. And Republic is the provider for the City of Holland too. So it will be applicable to all of you for your area. The plastic bags will be a big one to talk about, because there are several places in the area that take all the, whether the shopping, the grocery bags, or the bags that are wrapped around toilet paper or water bottles, or dry cleaning bags. All those things can be recycled. It's a little bit of a process, but Meijer, Walmart, and Kmart and Family Fare all bring them or send them to the same location. So there are some opportunities for that in the area too. So again, these are all things that we've also looked at. So I'll bring all of that to you, and the earlier ones, the batteries, light bulbs, cardboard, plastic wrap, I'll try and bring as much of that to you as possible.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks so much. Holly Leo, hand raised. Well,
Can't hear.
I'm muted, sorry.
there you go.
I just wanted to make a couple points. So glad that you all are doing this. I sat in on a meeting at Uncommon Grounds. They definitely have a need for composting. Also, they turned me on to the idea that just because, say, Uncommon or Farmhouse has compostable commercial plates or cups, it doesn't mean that they are compostable. They have to be composted in a certain way. It's my understanding. You can't just throw it in the ground. So that's something that a lot of merchants need help with. And I was also told that we could ask Republic for a recycling audit. And that is something that Holland has done that we could do. And so I just wanted to.
Yep. Ken will take us through all of that. Thank you so much.
Great.
Anna, are you there? I want you to
Yes, I'm here.
introduce yourself, young lady.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Hannah Huggett. I am a student representative on the Holland Sustainability Committee, and I'm the youth leader for the Tulip Time, which was canceled this year because of this craziness of the pandemic. But I am the student leader for the Tulip Time recycling program. I helped start a composting program at my school, so I have some experience in that department. And yeah, I'm really interested in sustainability efforts of a great variety. So I'm excited to keep sitting in on these meetings and giving public comment when applicable. Yeah.
Good. All right. With that, anybody else a burning question? And if not, what I'll do is I'll send out another doodle document. I'll check with Ken first to see what his availability is, and then see if we can't find a time where we can get the majority of us on to have him take us through what they've done. Anybody else burning? Yeah, Daniel, I see you. Go for it.
Quick question. So I just feel that the township is just a little farther behind Douglas and Saugatuck because we don't even have the bins. I know that as an individual, I can get the bin, but I talked to Republic yesterday and they said it'd be $16.50 for bi-weekly service, which is not terrible, but I do know that Douglas isn't paying anything more to have the carts. So I'm just wondering if anyone who's in Douglas or Saugatuck could help walk us through the process that you all went to be able to get that cart service as something that we could present to the township, so we could, just kind of be on the same playing field. Because unless you're paying that extra $16.50 service, you're still using the yellow bags in Saugatuck Township.
Okay. Yeah,
I
and
might
Daniel,
just jump in on that. I would say Griffin Graham's a great guy. Kirk Harrier's one of the best. Why don't you ask Griffin to get a hold of Kirk and
Cool.
get a handle on how the whole contract thing went?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Griffin is on this call, so, and I see he's still there. I haven't lost him, so he's certainly tuned in on this, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
But again, I'll take us to, part of our charge is to research and prepare a report outlining any recommendations back to each unit of government. So even though the township may be a bit behind, I think there's an opportunity to perhaps catch up, right?
Absolutely.
Sound good?
Yes.
Excellent.
All right, excellent. With that, everybody good? Oh wait,
Good.
hands raised. I see hands raised. Oh, I got Mark?
Yeah, just to Daniel's point, the disadvantage, Daniel, that you and the majority of homeowners in the township have is that your individual homeowners, here at Bayou Trail, we have a homeowners association, so that's why we have the separate bin, because the recycle truck can make a round here within 10 minutes and pick up all those bins, whereas when they go out of our development and they go along the street, then they're not picking up at every single location. They're going from one location. They may have to drive another mile or 2 or 3 to the next location and on and on. So again, it all comes down to manpower as well as cost effectiveness for Republic to do that kind of service. That's why that's why they would charge you $16.50 a month, or every 2 weeks, $33 a month, call it, for that service alone.
All right, well, let's see if we can, by the end of the year, come up with a good plan that serves all 3 communities best. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, second for that, please.
I second that. It's Linda.
All right, do we need a roll call on this, Monica?
Yes, we do, since it's
All
a
right.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Johnson,
Yes.
Escott,
Yes.
Epstein,
Yes.
DeFranco,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
North,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes. All right. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll be in touch pretty quick with a doodle to find the next good time.
Perfect.
And
Thank you.
hear from Ken. I think you'll be really pleased to hear what he has to share.
Thank
Okay.
you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
All right, very good.
Thanks.
Take care.